man, he got the juice, you know. It's something that kind of comes and goes. Sauce. The sauce is forever.
Their former boss, Steve Bannon, we met him today, is now chief White House strategist. Right now, we're joined by senior editor-at-large and co-author of the book, How Trump Won, the Inside Story of a Revolution, Joel Pollack. Welcome, Joel.
Welcome.
So, you are the Breitbart News senior editor-at-large. That was the title you have. And you've been, with Breitbart, the website has been described as a platform for the alt-right, or some people say white supremacists.
Well,
how would you describe it?
Breitbart News is a conservative website, and we have a very diverse group of editors and writers. I'm the Orthodox Jewish former editor-in-chief, senior editor-at-large, so not exactly an accurate description. We call that fake news, a fake news description. But we are a conservative...
What's the fake news description? What I said?
Yes,
that it's white supremacist or...
No.
But many of the articles...
That's not fake news.
It's absolutely...
Well, how do you explain this headline? Bill Kristol, Republican spoiler, renegade Jew. You're Jewish. Why?
Right. It was written by David Horowitz, who's one of the most prominent Jewish conservatives, and he was criticizing Bill Kristol for not being Jewish enough. So it was the opposite of what people described. And we have more than a dozen Jewish people working at Breitbart, including the CEO, the COO. We have black writers, Hispanic, Asian, whatever, gay, whatever you can
So what do
imagine.
you think is the rise of anti-Semitism about in this country?
You know, I'm really glad the media finally woke up to this phenomenon, because it started quite a long time ago, long before Donald Trump ran for president, particularly in California, where I live. On college campuses, there's been a rising tide of anti-Semitism linked to criticism of Israel. And it's very tough to be a Jewish student on some of these campuses nowadays.
Yeah, but mostly it seems to me that there's a flurry of them since Trump is in.
I think the media just woke up and noticed that this is a problem. And
Really?
I think that I feel very proud that Donald Trump not only is one of the most pro-Israel presidents that we've ever had, but that his daughter, Ivanka, tonight will light the Sabbath candles, just like my wife will, and bring in the Sabbath. And to me, that's something extraordinary in American history to
Yeah, but
have
you know that phrase, some of my best friends are Jewish? It's meaningless, really. You can still be an anti-Semite and have Jewish relatives.
It's different.
Right?
I agree with you. When people say my friends are Jewish, it doesn't really
or
cut
I've got a black friend.
But when your in-laws are Jewish, your in-laws are Jewish, you got a little more credibility.
Let me ask you about Steve Bannon, because Whoopi calls him President Bannon, and he's the White House chief strategist, the former executive chair of Breitbart. People have called him everything from a Nazi to a racist. He's made bigoted statements. They've called him a white supremacist sympathizer. What is your response? How do you work for someone who has that reputation?
Well, none of that is true. That's more fake news. And even people who...
So everyone is lying?
Yes. Steve is a fantastic guy. I worked with him for 6 years, and he can be very tough in an argument. We used to argue all the time over any kind of policy issues. Jedediah will back me up here. You know, you bring data and facts to the table.
Very tough guy.
Yeah, but absolutely a fair-minded person brought...
So we can't believe when he makes these bigoted statements? Is he just being provocative?
Exactly are you referring to?
There's like a laundry list. I'm sure I can get you a card.
I mean, I've a headline from Breitbart. Birth control makes women unattractive and crazy. Do I look crazy to you?
But that's
not bigoted, though. That's not bigoted.
That's a bigoted statement.
But you see how you shifted the goalpost now. So it's gone from Steve Bannon says things to headline.
Well,
Steve Bannon has not said bigoted things. Steve Bannon is...
He's behind these, though. What are you talking about?
No, I mean, I've often argued. I mean, I submitted content a long time ago to Breitbart, and I know Steve, and I've often argued that, you know, you can disagree with him, and it's tough to disagree with him because he's a very strong-headed guy, but I've often said that I don't believe him to be an anti-Semite or racist or any of those things, just to back that up. He's tough, though, so you go into a battle, you better be prepared, as far as I can see. But I have a question about Steve, which is that Steve is, from what I know of him, kind of a boss. He does like to take control. He does like to be kind of in charge. And I see a lot of what's coming out from the Trump campaign now. A lot of the focus seems to be about going against the media establishment. That is Steve's main focal point. Is it safe to assume that Steve is kind of running the show?
Yeah.
Well, I don't think Donald Trump takes orders from anybody. So I think Donald Trump is very much in charge. I think that Steve Bannon and Reince Priebus do get along. I think I do think they get along.
It didn't look like that in the thing we showed today. It looked like he was going like this. Don't touch me. That's what it looked like.
You know, I can clear something up. Steve.
It's right in front of your eyes.
Just to clarify, Steve never touched my leg. So,
How about your previous?
Speaking of the media, you co-wrote a book called How Trump Won, The Inside Story of a Revolution. And you say that the biggest reason he won the election was because he defied the media. He received more free airtime than any other candidate in American history. Did he defy them or did he con them?
The answer is yes. He certainly pulled a few tricks on the media, the most notorious of which was when he called the press conference and everyone came there and they were going to hear him talk about Obama, his birthplace, and he spent half an hour rolling out one military leader after another talking about what a great commander-in-chief was going to be, and then in the last 10 seconds he says, oh, and by the way, Obama was born in Hawaii. And then everyone said, oh, you know, we got fooled again, we got conned or whatever, but he got all that free airtime for half an hour. It was like a free TV commercial across the country. He was very clever. He knew how to reel them in and then do that. But the bigger part of it was going over the heads of the media, speaking directly to the American people through Twitter, through rallies.
He did do that.
Yeah, and I think the most important...
He's a liar. You do admit that. He's a liar. He lies about everything.
He's a liar.
He was going to protect the LGBTQ community, and he just rescinded that protection.
He's a politician. They all lie.
They all lie. He's a liar. He lies about everything.
Let me ask you a question, though, because we often have this conversation about the media and media bias, and people don't understand. Like, I see when they're talking about the media as an opposition party, I understand why that appeals to a majority of Americans who are dissatisfied with media and feel that media has betrayed them. Can you speak a little bit to that, about the part of the country that feels that media has basically been a force for alignment with the left, and now the effort is to try to balance that out? Can you speak to that a little bit? No, this is real. This is a real topic.
There was a guy who showed up at the inauguration on January 20th with a big sign that said, I don't know any Russians. And he was sending that as a message to the media that we voted for Donald Trump, we like Donald Trump, this Russian thing is fake news, we have real support for him.
Right.
And I think that many Americans feel overlooked. I mean, look, Donald Trump won because he went behind the blue wall. He spoke to and listened to
that he's going to make the Mexicans pay for.
But I got to say this. There was a Quinnipiac University poll just out Wednesday that found that 52% of American voters trust the media more than President Trump. Don't they have buyer's remorse now? 52%.
There was another poll last week on Fox News. 45% trust Trump and 42% trust the media. So, there are different polls. But I think your other question is really pertinent, which is, do his supporters have buyer's remorse? And I think far from that. I think they feel like this is what they wanted, this is what they're getting.
Yeah.
I think that the rest of the country is still trying to figure out how to approach Donald Trump, but certainly his voters are 100% behind him.
Right. Okay. Whatever. I mean, when you say, just one more word, when you say that the media is the enemy of the people, that is the slippery slope to fascism. I'm just saying. Thanks to Joel Pollack. His new book is called How Trump Won, The Inside